Every time I sit down to script one of these episodes, I think to myself, okay, this is going to be a short one. We're running out of news to discuss. And oh boy, every single time, I'm wrong. We've got a new Japanese introduction video that was released while I was working on this video, but I'll be saving that news for the next episode, which should be out really soon, so stay tuned. What's up guys, Stevie here with Lucky Crit. Today we've got more Fire Emblem Echoes news to go through, and some of it is pretty promising, so let's take a look. First off, we have confirmation that 8-4 will be localizing Fire Emblem Echoes. 8-4 is the localization team responsible for localizing Fire Emblem Awakening, as well as Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, and in my personal opinion, I think this is stellar news. Previously with Fire Emblem Fates, Nintendo made the decision to keep the localization in-house, and went with the Treehouse to do so. The Nintendo Treehouse is a Nintendo of America product development division responsible for many of Nintendo's localizations, like Donkey Kong Country on the SNES and Animal Crossing. While these games didn't really receive any backlash for their localizations, after how they decided to deal with the localization of Fire Emblem Fates, fans were in an all-time uproar. The Treehouse deemed certain edgier character support conversations too inappropriate and heavily altered them, alongside the removal of character bathing suits, exclusion of dual audio, and the removal of the petting aspect, known as skinship in Japan, from the private quarters. Many fans were enraged by these decisions when the Treehouse was localizing the game, stating that they were cutting content without cutting the price tag, ruining the game's dialogue with the injection of stupid memes instead of the actual substance in the original.
We will ferment in love's pickle barrel all our days. You're so delicious.
Or at the very least, heavily altering characters and conversations, and completely changing the personalities and concepts behind those characters. Localization is supposed to be a minimalistic process of translating and adapting a game from one region to another, with the results of the process being negligible and unnoticeable. And oh boy, were these changes completely obvious, and blatant censorship over concepts like bathing suits that we see all the time and can definitely handle. This was one of the reasons why many fans were upset about Fire Emblem Fates, and even though some old school Fire Emblem fans could probably care less about features like petting and waifu bathing suits, it did help to further divide the community, and it has also resulted in a neutered Fire Emblem Fates. Speaking on a personal level, I honestly think that all of this has led to my own apathy toward the game. I want to point out that I'm not saying that Fire Emblem Fates is a bad game by any means. Even though it does have its fair share of issues, I still enjoy Fates. I just know the dialogue could have been much better, and like other fans, I'm tired of other people telling me what's appropriate and what isn't. So the fact that Nintendo has decided to have 8-4 localize Echoes is great news. 8-4 did a much better job of localizing Shadow Dragon and Awakening, with, to my knowledge, the biggest scandal being the cover-up of Thracia in one of the CGs, but you can just search up the original image if you really want to see it. And I'll take that over neutered, memeified dialogue, and the removal of game features any day. So once again, more great news that will hopefully help Echoes in being a truly incredible title for the series. In the last episode, we talked about how Amiibo will work in the game, and how they will summon illusory heroes to help you in battle. If you haven't checked out that episode yet, you can click right here and check it out first. We've now received screenshots of what these phantom-like illusory heroes will look like in-game, and we have further confirmation that the Roy Amiibo will work with Echoes. Great news. They're a little creepy looking, but I think it'll be a cool way to integrate the Amiibo into the game, even though it does sort of stink that at the current moment, it seems like they will not have permanent counterparts to join you along your journey through Valentia. In the last episode, we took a look at a screenshot showcasing the Mila statue menu with the option Make Offering stating, offer a provision to cure all fatigue. We now have further confirmation as to what this was referring to. It seems that the fatigue system, present in Thracia 776, will return in Fire Emblem Echoes, but it seems the penalties of fatigue will be temporary stat reductions instead of unit incapacity. So what does this mean? Well, in Thracia 776, units accumulated points on their status screen after performing actions in battle. Once that number surpassed the number of maximum HP they had, they would be unable to take part in the next chapter of the game. After not being deployed in a following chapter, their fatigue meter would reset. So, in essence, this would direct the player to use more units in a playthrough, and encourage the use of more than just a handful of characters to make it through the entirety of the game. In Echoes, it seems the penalty, instead of being unable to use the unit in the next chapter or battle, will instead be a stat penalty to that unit. So if you're using units too often, they will have some sort of temporary stat reductions until you give them a break. This is reflected by the smiley icon that we have seen on units. What do you think about this? Good? Bad? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. At the very least, it'll definitely help shake things up a bit and make it very interesting. Thanks to Serenes Forest and Reddit user SuperKeon, we now have more information that we've received from demos available at the Dutch Comic-Con in the Netherlands, and boy, there's a lot of good stuff here. Support conversations have been confirmed, and according to them, are going to be more akin to that of the GBA era. they will be taking place on the battlefield. So instead of accessing a menu outside of battle in order to play your support conversations, they'll be taking place right in the heat of combat. There are also some more tidbits of information from Super Kion as well. Food can be offered at the Mila statues to cure fatigue, but they can also be used as vulneraries in battle to heal HP. We also have confirmation that the question marks on the character status page are indeed weapon skills and abilities unlocked by using their weapons. We got that right too. We don't know too much about the actual skills just yet, but he did mention Cliff getting a skill that sacrificed 1 HP for 30 avoid on the next attack, and Clive learned a skill on his steel lance that allowed him to deal piercing damage to armors for an HP cost as well. The white-haired paladin character that we were wondering about from the trailers has been confirmed to be named Fernand, and Burkett has a girlfriend that reminded Super Kion of Azura from Fates. I'm wondering if that has to do with the hair color or something else. But regardless, interesting. Is the rival or villain character actually going to have his own character development and motivations beyond just being evil? Definitely sounds good to me. He also confirmed that healing will be providing EXP, so training healer units like Silk will be much easier than it was in Gaiden. And even though we don't have much info on the subject, it seems an auto battle mechanic will be present in dungeons, so if you want to just run through and I guess skip or accelerate the battles, it's definitely going to be an option. Once again, thanks to Serenes Forest, we also have some off-camera screenshots taken from this month's issue of Nintendo Dream. There's a new CG of an evil-looking Desai overlooking the Zofia Castle, and what will likely be an explanation of early game plot details. Over to the right, we can also see an example of dialogue between Celica and another character, and it seems for the main characters Alm and Celica, they will be present on the bottom screen, looking toward the character they are talking to on the top screen. Interesting. In the next shot, we can see an image of Noma, the wise sage that took care of Celica at the Novus Monastery. Next, we see a spotlight on Burkett, this time with a new image of him talking with Fernand. Lastly, we have some images that showcase a new system that will be present in Fire Emblem Echoes, the Participation Experience system. Like in Gaiden, units will contribute to a pool of experience which is then shared out amongst all members at the end of a battle. So even units that didn't fight will still be able to accumulate EXP. It seems the orange portion of the experience bar indicates the participation experience gained. We can also see the fatigue smiley faces here, with Gray and Faye being happy and everyone else very happy. A recent pre-release livestream for Fire Emblem Cypher, the card game, Series 8, also teased a couple of new character artworks from Echoes. Here we can see a comparison of Valbar in Gaiden to his newly redesigned Echoes concept art. The announcer also holds up the original cover of Fire Emblem Gaiden, and it's thought that the character on the right could be Valbar, even though it's somewhat unclear due to the discrepancy between the box art and the character portrait in Gaiden. Perhaps Valbar's backstory will be getting expanded upon in Echoes too. We've also got artwork of Tobin as an archer, which is interesting considering in all the official footage we've gotten so far, he's been an archer as well. Tobin confirmed canon archer? I don't know. Next we can see May, and it appears her background is a ship, harkening back to early game Echoes and Gaiden ship battles in the Celica chapters. And finally we get to take a look at the Japanese version of the Valentia Complete edition of the game, but since we've already seen what our own version is going to look like, it's not that important. This time we have some new artwork of Alm and Celica on the cover though. And that's going to wrap up this video, guys. If you're hyped about Echoes, be sure to comment Echoes in the comment section down below. Show your support by slashing the thumbs up on this video, and I'd also love to know what you think in the comments about this information. Also be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, to make sure you're up to date on all of our Fire Emblem Echoes news, as well as our Nintendo, retro, and tech content. And for any updates that don't make it into the episodes or news revealed on the fly, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Lucky Crit Gaming. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.